You're now listening to Explore Central Presents Building Central for Community, an interview with Rachel Fewell. Hello and welcome all. I'm Joe, part of the communications team here at Denver Public Library. Today, we have an exciting interview about the grand reopening of the Central Library in Denver after its extensive renovation. These renovations are the most significant changes to the Central Library since the Michael Graves addition in 1995. The total cost of the renovation is $59.4 million, with $38 million funded by the 2017 Elevate Denver Bond, $10 million from Denver's Capital Improvement Fund, $5.75 million from Strong Library, Strong Denver, supported by the DPL Fund, and partial funding for the new teen library through a community project fund grant from HUD, secured via the congressionally directed spending process. The remainder of the budget was raised through the Denver Public Library Friends Foundation. Now that we know how it's made possible, we'll share about how we've made it happen. We're excited to talk about the details of this transformative project. Joining us is Rachel Fewell, the Central Library Director, who will provide us with insights into the renovation process, the challenges faced, and the new features we can all look forward to. Let's jump right in. Central Library has been the cornerstone of our community here in Denver. Can you briefly tell us about the renovation project?
We began planning for this renovation in 2016. And did a visioning plan and a master plan for the whole building. We were doing that in anticipation of a general obligation bond that the city put forward to voters in 2017. That bond passed. Yay, very exciting. But we estimated with our master planning that a renovation of the Central Library would cost about $100 million. And the city funded us for $38 million. So part of the process throughout this renovation has been kind of engineering elements out, reprioritizing, reshuffling some of the elements of the renovation so that we could maximize the budget we had as it came online for us. Some of the things that were scoped out early came back in with Friends were able to provide some funding, which is amazing. The city came through with some capital improvement funding that has helped us as well. And then we went back to voters, and they passed Strong Library, Strong Denver. And so now we have the DPL fund that we are able to tap into to fill some of those gaps as well in our funding. So dissimilarly to, I think, how branches go through renovations, the plan is kind of set. You move through and it's complete. For this one, because it was so long, so extensive, and we had the building closed, we really wanted to make sure we could maximize the projects that would be super disruptive to our services here. And so we just kept adding more things back in, flipped our service a couple times, which also huge elements of change management for our teams and for our customers. So that's basically kind of how it came through. We obviously closed for COVID, and then we didn't fully reopen from our COVID closure. So that was also a challenge with community understanding what we were up to, why are we still closed. So there's just, it was timing interesting and scope and scale interesting.
It just feels like this such a big dynamic thing that just is ever changing and still will, right? Even before the finish line.
Yeah, and we plan to move back into master planning in 2025 because we know there were elements that we left out, we couldn't get to, and we're being really thoughtful with our facilities team and working with our partners at Dottie about how do we then scope projects into packages where we'll be able to close just parts of the building rather than closing the entire building. So luckily in this sweep of 4 years of closure, we were able to add the stairs, for example, add new restrooms in our restroom core, add a whole teen area, and we didn't have to disrupt the ongoing service to accomplish those things. So our future projects will hopefully be we can just shut down one floor, take it offline, and complete a project.
That makes sense. You mentioned a few of the new things that are happening renovation-wise. What would you say are the exciting things?
Big exciting things. I don't know that everyone will think are exciting, but to us, we are a big attractor of people who need a restroom in downtown Denver. So we were able to redo all of our public restrooms. Now they're lovely and new and gorgeous, have a lot more trauma-informed design elements. So people who don't ever get to use a plumbed toilet, they'll be able to. So I'm excited about that. I know it's kind of not the most exciting, fun thing for folks, but
It's a game changer.
right, it's a big
Yeah.
one. We also have the first bank of public gender-neutral restrooms. So we have 11 stalls on our first floor that are associated with our event space. Another exciting thing is our new event space on the first floor.
Parkview?
The Parkview.
Yeah.
We used to have a smaller event space in the basement. It was challenging to get to. It wasn't very attractive for people. We now have a 2-story space. It's really beautiful. It looks out over the park, which is why we're calling it the Parkview, Civic Center Park. And just a game changer for us in terms of hosting events, welcoming our city partners and other partners throughout the city to have cool things happening at the Central Library. So really excited about that. We did a whole new children's space. We have introduced a new teen library. We never had that before. We always had a small teen collection and a small area for teens to kind of hang out and have fun, but we really wanted to be intentional and create a kind of matching space to the children's space in the building. So super excited about that. And 2 new grand staircases in Schlesman Hall. So I really feel like that's going to help customers understand, like, they can access upper floors. Before, it kind of felt like a train terminal, and you'd come in and wonder, where in the world are the books? How do I get to the next floor? So now, hopefully, it's a lot more visually understandable when you walk into the building.
It does. It kind of walking through Schlesman Hall, you see it open up, and then the stairs are kind of there, and it's very, like, striking, and it feels very exciting just to see.
Yeah. And then we passed by a lot of new meeting rooms. We hear that a lot from members of our community. I need a place for a business meeting. My team needs to be hosted somewhere. So we have 15 community rooms that are coming online that people can book from home or come in and see what's available.
You spoke about the children's space, which I think has already been open, but still very exciting to also reintroduce folks to. How much of a game changer is having a space like that, and the footprint, I guess, too, because prior to that it was a much smaller footprint.
Yeah, so children's space is still on the first floor, but we moved it kind of like east. We kind of flopped it over, and now it's on the east side closest to Broadway. We wanted to do that because we do have a future intention of creating an outdoor play space. So that's kind of future looking and an exciting thing for us to do. But I think the big changes to our children's space were really designing our furniture and footprint so that it's accessible to kids and attractive to them. So changed some of the shelving. So it used to be kind of labyrinthine, and your 4-year-old would get lost because you couldn't see them over the shelves, and an adult
Adults
can't
too, probably might
climb
get lost,
over
yeah.
to get to them. So we really wanted to create more sight lines and visibility in that space. We really wanted to tie the outdoors to the indoors, create a urban place where kids who live downtown and walk to our library can see themselves and really feel recognized and like this is their place. We also brought in a ton of natural elements, so we kind of have like a river feeling walking through it. There are a lot of cool tones, and really wanted to make sure that we have it set up developmentally so that kids of any age, we serve kids from birth to about 12 in that space, and just really wanted those kids to find their developmental place throughout that space.
To move upwards, the next floor up, you said you move up till age 12. So when they become a teen, they can take the stairs up.
Yes. So we also have a cool kind of like secret stair between the children and teens. anticipating that families have young kids and older kids sometimes. And sometimes an older kid will bring their siblings in. And so we really wanted that connection so that teens, as they kind of age into that 6th grade through high school, can really find us in the teen space and find a really intentionally designed space for teens. Like I said, we've never had this before in this kind of with a full staff to support young adults and teens and with a whole space. So we're also kind of matching developmentally, like in the children's area, we have a project room. The teen area, we have a project room, but it's slightly different and kind of like aged up. So we're providing this kind of continuum of education and support and just elements that meet kids in their developmental stage, whether they're a toddler or a teenager.
And the space itself is a mirror of the children's space as far as just like the square footage.
Yeah, very similar footprint. So you'll find children's on the first floor, and then if you come up the stairs, teen sits right on top of that on the second floor. And hopefully that'll also create kind of comfortability for kids as they age into the teen space to be like, oh, okay, some of this is kind of new and cool and fun, and some of this is very familiar. So we really want people to feel like you just throughout your life have continuity of place here.
And spark that curiosity.
Yes, of course, so much curiosity.
So part of Central has been open, the first floor, for the public to use from what they've seen so far, because Parkview is currently open and the children's space. Has there been any community response to kind of the changes and how that's been received?
People have loved the children's space. We have seen a number of our families come back. So it's great to have seen a baby who's now a school-age child. They're coming back to use
Where'd the time
space,
go?
right? Like, oh, you used to come to story time. Can I help you with your homework? So that's been really cool. I think people are a little bit confused when they come into the Parkview space because I think for some people we are getting a ton of new residents in the area around Central. So if they've never been in this building before and they come in, they just think that's the space. That's just where we do service and how we do service. So I think it's going to be a big change management with our newer residents and then the older residents who've been here for a long time, re-welcoming them back, saying, yes, you can get to your favorite spot on the 5th floor or wherever you'd like to spend your time in the library. But I think some of it is just like, yeah, it's shocking when people come in and they're like, oh, this place is beautiful. And we're like, yeah, this is kind of just our minimal branch set up right now.
Yeah.
This will be our event space when we fully reopen.
Yeah, it will be.
So I'm getting positive feedback, though, when we tell people, like, this will be the event space and how we'll use that. I think that's really exciting. And it's a size that is really needed in downtown. Almost every auditorium or space in our downtown buildings can host about 200 people. We'll be able to accommodate 400. So that'll be really attractive to conferences. We're really in communication with the Denver Art Museum and McNichols Building. So if they can't host a thing or we can't host a thing, we refer back and forth all the time.
That's awesome to have that as a facility within the building that you can use and imagine what you can bring and do around it.
Yeah, it's going to be really cool.
We know kind of what's happening, what's going to be coming. You kind of hope what people might use the space for, but I guess philosophically, what do you hope Central be for the neighborhood?
So I'm going to tell you maybe a controversial thing, Joe. I think our city leadership has been calling Union Station the living room of Denver. I think the Central Library is actually the living room of Denver. Because we allow everyone to come in, hang out for as long as they want, spend time here, bring your work, bring your kids, bring your food, whatever you need to do. We're absolutely, truly welcoming, wanting everyone from every walk of life to come in this space. We'll have 500,000 square feet for people to use. So we can have discreetly used spaces, discreetly, age designated spaces, activity designated spaces. We'll reopen our Idea Lab on the 4th floor, for example. But we have so much space that I think we can really welcome all of our neighbors to spend whatever time they would like to in here. I really want that to be our connection space.
Yeah, I think reintroducing, like you said, to the neighborhood and what Central has been to a lot of people, it's exciting to kind of bring that back. And then some.
And then some. I know, right?
To say the least.
Get really excited about, like those Storytime families from 10 years ago have kids who can use the teen space now. So really exciting to see how our neighborhood has changed. Last I counted, I think we had 6,000 new units coming online in the Golden Triangle.
Wow. That's
so huge, right? And that's not even to mention like the mile radius around here. Cap Hill, ton of development as well. So we know there are a lot of new people moving here, people moving around within our neighborhoods, and we just have so much to offer that I just hope everyone stops in to visit and finds a way to connect with us regularly.
That's very exciting. And to kind of kick off that excitement too, there's going to be a grand opening.
Yeah, really looking forward to celebrating this renovation, all the changes, and that first kind of kickoff to welcome people back in with a grand opening celebration. Really gearing our staff up to share what we've done in the spaces, what has changed, what hasn't, what can you still expect here that you used to be able to do all the time. We still have it, but we also have all this new cool stuff.
And it is very much cool stuff. We're sitting in a teen space right now, too, talking about it. So
yeah, it's very colorful in here, and I think the youth will enjoy it.
Yeah. I would be excited, too.
My kids who were teens when we were designing this space are now too old to use the space.
They'll just have to find their own other space in Central, which they can.
Which they can. They've got the whole rest of the building.
Yeah. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thanks for asking me about Central, Joe.
Appreciate all you do.
Thanks
Rachel.
Too. Bye.
That wraps up our conversation about the Central Library's incredible renovation and reopening. Join us as we celebrate the reopening of Denver's literary and cultural landmark. After years of anticipation, DPL's Central Library is fully reopening its doors to the public in November 2024. We invite you to explore Central and celebrate the completion of our major renovation. As we fully reopen Central Library to the community, we are committed to providing a welcoming space where people of all backgrounds can come together to learn, explore, and connect. For more information about the grand reopening events and new features, visit denlib.org explore-cen. That's explore-CEN. A huge thank you to Rachel for sharing all these fascinating details and what's to come. Make sure to visit the Central Library to experience it all for yourself. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.